Hey everybody, how you doing? There's been a lot of talk about Las Vegas Raiders quarterback, I was about to say Oakland Raiders quarterback Derek Carr going to the Chicago Bears. I'm going to take an entirely different, excuse the pun, slant on that idea and explain why I think that it would be a bad move for Derek Carr and a bad move for Chicago, specifically Chicago Bears fans. And it's because the offense that Matt Nagy has installed is such that it has, and there's nothing wrong with adjustable routes. Okay, for example, if I come up five wide, slot right, as I saw in one Chicago Bears play or example, slot right, the split in the slot side is basically told if I get an inside release or inside coverage, excuse me, cornerback's up about, say, within the 5 yard range, then I run outside and up. If the slot is getting inside coverage, inside press, right, then I'm going to go run a short stem about 3 yards and then break out. Okay? The problem with the way the Bears do it is it's not so much based on timing as it is defensive leverage. In other words, they don't spend a lot of time on trying to drill the quarterback to complete a pass in spite of close coverage. There are ways you can have a receiver release to get around inside coverage. You can have him break outside, bring the defender out if it's man for man, defender's man for man. In these examples that I'm talking about, they were, and then come back inside. There are ways to get the defender off the schneid, if you will, and then throw a timed pass. The reason why I say that is because while John Gruden's offense does have also adjustable routes, it's not, there are fixed routes that depend on timing. And the one area that I believe Derek has excelled in is in throwing the time pass in John's system. You don't see passes like that in Matt Nagy's system, and it produces a lot of sloppy passing. So that's bad for two parties. It's bad for Derek Carr, whose education as a passer and his maturation as a passer will stop if he goes to Chicago. It will stop, okay? And it's bad for Chicago Bears fans who are going to expect to get a better quarterback out of Derek Carr as opposed to what they got with Nick Foles and Mitch Trubisky. And it's going to take, as is the case with fans, different quarterbacks to go in and out of the same system to realize, and not do well, to realize, hey, it's not the quarterbacks, it's the system. Matt Nagy's system, all right? Matt Nagy's system, okay, is simply not such that you're going to produce a timed, accurate passer from it. And Matt needs to work on that. Now, you would say, how does he get around that? Well, he has to use misdirection routes. And what I mean by that is, I understand having the inside-outside leverage concept, fine. But you can shake the defender in other ways. You can have shake routes where the receiver comes inside 3 yards and then breaks out, right? So then the defenders don't quite know how to handle that because they don't quite know what's going to happen, okay? I'm not talking about, like you say, I'm not concerned about the weather. I'm talking techniques. And the reason why I'm talking techniques is because the kind of play a quarterback runs, the kind of offense a quarterback runs, dictates how well that quarterback is going to do. The quarterbacks don't draw up the plays in the dirt. They run plays in systems that are designed by their head coaches and or offensive coordinators. All right? So, or just the offensive coordinator, if the offensive coordinator is lucky enough to have a coach that says, take it, you do it, okay? Like Byron Leftwich in the Super Bowl, right? So, but plays matter. And understanding what those plays, what they're trying to do with those plays matter. So when you look at film, look at where the defenders are lining up and then ask yourself, okay, where is that offensive receiver going with respect to where that defender's lining up if it looks like it's man for man or zone? And then determine what the coach is trying to do from that, as like you can do with the Bears or anybody else. It's pretty obvious that Matt Nagy has a flexible offensive system from the perspective of the receiver. Great. But it's also obvious that they don't work on their timing within that. It's more about maneuvering to get open. But what happens when you have a defender who's just so good that he'll within which to complete the pass? If you haven't drilled to complete that pass, you're in trouble. And folks, that has been the Chicago Bears' problem more often than not during their history under head coach Matt Nagy, who I happen to like as a person, by the way. This is nothing personal against him. It's a technical criticism. It's also why Matt's offenses were known more for two things: exotic formations and gadget plays of a type from them, like the one they ran that Mitchell Trubisky threw when they against the Saints that was dropped in the end zone, that then the New Orleans Saints then turned around and did themselves against the Buccaneers that weren't worked when Jameis Winston ran it. So that's what Matt's known for, but he's not known for precision passing. John Gruden is known for precision passing. He's one of the few people in the NFL who still adhere to the Bill Walsh concept of the timed pass. And although he's gotten, I think, a little bit loosey-goosey of late, it's still there. And I only say that with loving criticism, not a biting one. John has brought Derek Carr a long way, and I think the Raiders letting Derek get out of the building would be a big mistake. Now, you would say there's Marcus Mariota there. Yeah, and I think Marcus would do exceptionally well as a Raider. But Marcus Mariota is also as injury prone, if not more so, than Derek Carr. To be, as you know, watching this, you know this as well as I do, that you have to be able to field two good quarterbacks, not one, but two on the field. Think of what would happen to the Buccaneers if Tom Brady had gotten injured and they had no reliable backup. The Buccaneers should have upped Jameis Winston's contract and kept him on the bench. But now they face the very real specter of having to face Jameis Winston this year after an unusual 2020 season, which I think has given them an unusually high degree of arrogance that they will pay the price for in 2021. You heard it just like I said it, okay? Do not make the mistake of believing the Bucs will repeat as Super Bowl champions in 2021. And there are a lot of reasons I can go into. I want to read what you're saying. The Bears must be interested in our ex-players in the Reggie McKenzie era. They got Khalil Mack from us. Now possibly Derek Carr. They might as well trade for Amari Cooper. I think, people are people, and I do think that a lot of that interest does come from someone like a Khalil Mack who is saying, hey, look, our guy is a good one. Let's try to get him, right? Because look at how they're treating, and you got to think that there's got to be some back chatter from Derek Carr himself, who's chomping at the bit at why the Raiders would bring in Marcus Mariota and put him in that position. It's obvious. Now, he won't voice it much, but he did give hints that, hey, this wasn't exactly his popular thing. And the Raiders were basically walking on eggshells trying to make sure that they didn't upset Derek Carr. That's a bad sign, folks. And then there is the specter of Deshaun Watson wanting to get out of the building. The Texans are not going to let him get out of the building, okay? As my friend Jamie Roots will tell you, Deshaun Watson is a billion-dollar quarterback. I don't think Jamie at all let me take the I don't think out of my statement. I know the now ex-president of the Houston Texans did not like the way things were being done. And he's the president, but there are certain things that even he didn't have control over. And I don't care what anybody says. There was some dude on Twitter that wrote a very ignorant tweet trying to attach the Houston Texans' current misfortunes to Bob McNair, who's left us since 2018. I know Bob McNair. Bob does not like what is happening to the Houston Texans. Got it? Just doesn't. But the one thing that I believe the Texans will not do is let Deshaun Watson out of the building. If they do, it will have to be for some ungodly high price that no one thought anyone else would pay. That's the only way. The only way Deshaun gets out of his situation is if he retires, like Le'Veon Bell, right? Says, I'm going to sit out for a year and come back in under different circumstances, all right? Nico says, we can't afford Watson contract. We shouldn't try to get him. I disagree with that. I think that you should try if it's tryable. Because I know people are not going to like this, but Deshaun Watson puts the Raiders' offense into another gear. And it's because Deshaun is two things. He is both Derek Carr and Marcus Mariota melded into one person with a smidgen of Lamar Jackson, okay? That is Deshaun Watson. He is intelligent enough to quickly dissect coverages, athletic enough, and accurate enough authority to take advantage of them, and yet athletic enough to move out and still get a first down when there's trouble. Now, I know he didn't always do this well in the Texans' offense. And you know why? Because the Texans' offense didn't pay attention to precision passing like John will. And I think a mating of the minds of Deshaun Watson and John Gruden will be a very dangerous pairing in the National Football League. Period. End of story. I'm not trying to take anything away from Derek Carr, but Deshaun Watson, I have personally watched from when I had an opportunity to meet him in Philadelphia for the NFL draft and interview him and just talk, he is a smart fellow. And his wheels are always turning. He's always dissecting. And you probably have seen press conferences, well, he'll just dissect what a defense did like that. Show me a press conference where Derek Carr did, all right? And I'm not trying to take anything away from Derek. It's not anti-Derek, but I'm trying to explain that Deshaun Watson is just at another level. He just is, okay? There's nothing you can do about it, okay? There just isn't. Derek Carr is a great learner. But my concern about Derek, and I think that's changed to a degree, but my concern is he's still a robo quarterback. And what I mean by that is, when I say robo quarterback, is Derek Carr is the kind of guy that told me that when I interviewed him in 2002, I only do what they tell me to do, okay? The question is, has he gotten to a point where he can graduate and then take the offense, like what I mean by take the offense beyond what the coach draws up, I mean, can he change a particular pattern to meet a coverage that they didn't expect to meet, right? In other words, say, oh, hey, all right, we're looking at trips left, we're expecting man for man, so we've got, we're expecting a man for man, right? So we're looking at all go. But they're actually throwing a zone at us, and it's actually a zone that's actually flooded to that side. So basically, you've got flat, middle, and deep, all right, and then the free safety. You can actually count your coverages in that way. So he recognizes. So let's say he says he comes up and he sees the alignment is not in favor. So he's able to call what's called a short cross, which will completely obliterate that kind of coverage because you're biased to that side, right? So you have the inside-most slot guy run a short cross, right? He needs to have the audible for that. Or knows how to tell the receiver, hey, instead of a 9, say 4, 4, 4, okay? Hut, and then munch and run across it, and boom, okay? If Derek Carr has gotten to that place in the Raider offense, And I hope he has. I am happy to be wrong. Okay? I am happy to be wrong. But I believe that Derek Carr has, while he has the training, I'm not certain he's quite there yet. Whereas I believe Deshaun Watson in John Gruden's offense is that guy. Okay? I also believe Jameis Winston in John Gruden's offense is that guy. And the Raiders, I know Mike Mayock has his biases, but if Mike Mayock's biases are holding up the Raiders from getting the best quarterback they can, then Mike needs to step down. All right? Because look, we haven't made the playoffs yet. We didn't win the division. All right? And this is his second year. So I'm saying the clock is ticking. At some point, you have to have production from... So he said, how about signing Dwayne Haskins and resurrecting his career? I think he's a fantastic QB. I like Dwayne Haskins, but I think Dwayne needs a place to understand what it means to study, okay? And this has been a concern of mine since he was at Ohio State, was styling and profiling with the earrings and everything. I'm sorry, I might sound like a boomer and all that, but if boomer means structure and discipline, I'll take that, okay? Because that's what Dwayne needs. He needs to understand. He needs to do what he was doing. He was talking with Tom Brady. He needs to understand what it means to have his own structure and discipline, love football to a point where he's interested in passing game theories, the latest trends, what was done in the past, what was done as far back as Amos Alonzo Stagg. He needs to be a football junkie in such a way that he proves it on the field. And he can do that within the space of a few short months, where he's just dealing with nothing but football. You know, go out there, hey, look, have one girlfriend, forget everybody else, forgetting the nightclubs and all this stuff, because the people he's hanging around with don't care that he gets into trouble. All right? They don't care. They want him out there to say that they're with him. And look at where it's got him. He's too young. But the great news is he's got all the time in the world, literally, to make up for that. But look, not so much time. Why? Because here comes Trevor Lawrence. Hey, thank you, David, Mr. Compton. I see you. Sweatshirt and all. My point is, he's got all the time in the world, does Dwayne Haskins, but it's also a ticking clock, right? Because here comes Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields. Trevor Lawrence had a Boffo Pro Day. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be the next, hear me out here, the next, all right? He's going to be the next Haber, all right? Justin Haber. That's right. He's going to be Rookie of the Year. Depending on what Urban Meyer does with him. That's the wild card, okay? That's the wild card. If they run a short ball control passing offense and they don't do stupid things with him, like have him run too much and get beat up and all this stuff, and they pay no attention to the time pass, it'll be a long season for Trevor Lawrence. But if they put him into some situation like what Justin was in, he'll have a very successful first year and a very successful NFL career. I mean, he's not like Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow was a one-year wonder. Joe Brady was a one-year wonder, okay? They had their one great year, and all of a sudden it's, oh, they invented water. Oh, give me a break. They didn't invent water. They had one great year. Trevor Lawrence had great years, okay? And by all accounts, the only thing he did was really stupid was in 2019, he shoved some kid that was mouthing him off at a pickup basketball game, and he apologized. But he knew he was wrong. I get it. Okay, fine. Glad it didn't go any further than that. We'd have been reading about him getting arrested or something like that. And if he was black and done that, someone was like, oh, call the police, call the police. Okay? But my point is, Trevor Lawrence is the real deal. Justin Fields is the real deal. And these guys coming out this year form the clock that's ticking that Dwayne Haskins has to pay attention to. There are too many quarterbacks at the collegiate level now who can not only throw, but understand what kind of coverages they're throwing against. We are now arguably in the 7th year of having quarterbacks who are that good. And here's the catch, folks. They're getting better every year. Because they're doing it in high school. You want to see a great tape? Watch Jameis Winston's high school tapes. People make fun of him, and when they do, I think they're stupid. I will say this to you. If Jameis Winston had played in the same ball control, passing offense that the Buccaneers ran this season when he was in 2019, the Bucs would have been in the playoffs and arguably in the NFC Championship, if not the Super Bowl. Because they were just a few plays away. They knew it. To get Tom Brady, and they found out they didn't need Tom Brady as much when they were having Tom Brady run Bruce Arians' system against the Saints. And you saw what happened on Monday Night Football. It wasn't funny. And people comparing Tom Brady to Jameis Winston. Well, there's a reason for that. And they changed things. They were smart. In a way, the Buccaneers were not smart the year before with Jameis, and that's not Jameis' fault. So let's not get it twisted. Yeah, they got the Super Bowl trophy. They made the right adjustments. But you know what? Everybody has a book on the Bucs now. So 2021 NFL season is not going to be a cakewalk for them. Just saying. All right, folks. Thank you, Jave, very much. I made my points now. I'll be back to talk more about this Monday evening. Subscribe to Zenny62 and bookmark oaklandnewsnow.com. That ends this broadcast.